Innovation and science plays a big role in opportunities for dairy, and the Dairy Checkoff is keeping a close eye and being strategic about what opportunities dairy needs to be a part of. Here to talk more about the strategy areas, timeline, and trends to keep an eye on is Paul Ziemnisky, Executive Vice President of Global Innovation Partnerships for DMI. This is only a high level overview of a longer Dairy Stream episode. So if this topic interests you, I encourage you to listen to the full episode on June 26th. Well, Paul, can you give an overview of the four strategy areas and then kind of do a deeper dive into each one of them?
Hi, Joanna. Thanks for having me. From a big picture, we know dairy's a powerhouse. We're the number one category at retail. We're doing well in food service. We're growing exports. One of the things our objective of our team is really find new growth spaces. Our farmers produce 3 billion pounds more of milk a year. We want to make sure we're driving incremental sales on their behalf. And how we do it, and I lead the innovation priority, is we've got this objective to develop technology-powered science and innovations that really advance. We got a specific call out to wellness, and I'll talk about wellness and product leadership. And product leadership are things like pizza, burgers, shakes, coffee, and make sure we're set up for long-term success in these areas consumers love, and also that are growing. So how we do that is, we've got four outcome and strategy areas. Focus one, more incremental sales. And under that incremental sales is we work with channel leading partners to launch new growth platforms and technologies. More commercialized science. If we can publish a lot of science in the technical university world, but if it's not being commercialized, and when I say commercialized, I mean taken to consumers via a marketing claim against an existing product, taking it to a healthcare professional they understand. Most recently we talked about how dairy helps with diabetes, but cardiovascular health, or take commercialized science also in the product world. The technologies that grew up in the dairy research centers that you're seeing out there now, whether it's the work we've done to help commercialize a Fairlife product, or most recently in the last 5 to 7 years, the quality of the powders to export and how we've won in that space. So just examples when we talk about commercialized science that gets to market in some messaging claim healthcare product format. More outside investment. We want to make sure of investments in what we do isn't just on the farmer's back. We want to motivate outsiders. When you look across categories in the store, innovation in this usually comes from startups or smaller companies, and the big guys come in and buy. We want to motivate channel leaders, small and large companies, and help provide them roadmap and growth spaces to invest in dairy. In the spaces of health and wellness, in spaces of food service, in spaces of beverage. And so I'll talk about some of those spaces and the opportunity for dairy and how they can win. And this is what drives incremental sales. When you think about the emerging category of chicken and how underdeveloped that is, you look at health and wellness and opportunities to play in the digestive health, the bone health, the calm stress space. That's when we prove those opportunities and how dairy meets those opportunities, it drives a lot of incremental sustainable volume that we stack over time. And the last piece is you look at those first three, making sure we have the talent and the technology to deliver that growth. So we work across the university, work across the processors of the industry, and building a talent strategy, from making sure we have the professors to develop the talent to do the R&D, to the companies that as they want to commercialize both domestically and global products, the formulation requirements and the plant, producing it in our plants. And so a lot of that work we do is helping build this educational talent network to share, develop, so we have a staff for the future to do that. And when you look at, I'm going to dive just a little deeper. An example of that growth area across all those is health and wellness. It's the number one area of consumer disposable spend. Yet you see consumer health declining. You hear a lot around, half of the U.S. is pre-diabetic. When you start to even go deeper, 93% have metabolically unhealthy. And so dairy has an opportunity to really be the number one player in preventing long-term health issues. So you're not waiting on pharma. We're changing behaviors and habits and to do that. And so that a lot of the work we did is size these opportunities and helping educate the industry and how we win in these spaces. So we worked across farmer roadmaps. We worked across CDC. We quantified the top benefits consumers are addressing. We said in these spaces, some of it, like a cardiovascular disease, consumers aren't treating themselves or going to the doctor. So we were going to work with Mayo Clinic and really prove that dairy meets that, or type 2 diabetes here, 21 and 22. But there are things in this space that they are investing on their own. And it's their, like I said, there's the number one area of disposable spend. So we got together with a task force and said, where do we have the right to win, and what the size of those opportunities? And so this is an example of market sizing work we've done. If you look here, you see mental, emotional health and wellness. It's 9 billion and growing double digits. So you think about that, the old, tale around, hey, glass of milk before you go to bed, it helps you sleep, right? We believe, and there's emerging science, that actually consuming dairy we think we can have claims around existing products and also develop new products to address these with the bioactives that come in milk. Milk's this perfect orchestra of products, but when you start to look at the milk itself, we got amazing bioactives in there, like lactoferrin, milk fat globule membrane. So we're saying, how do we do science and technology to go after these opportunities, whether it's taking milk and having a stronger research to prove it helps with skin health, or is there a piece in milk like lactoferrin, which actually there's science that they're looking at it helps reduce inflammation. And then again, and lower inflammation has improved skin. So that level of work and research from our nutrition science work to how do we put it into products is a lot of what we do working with and through the industry. We then size these spaces, and on top of the sizing, we also looked at consumer dissatisfaction. And so when you look at this, a normal food and beverage dissatisfaction is around 25 to 30%. In health and wellness, you look here as I talk skin health, bone health is $44 billion, 70% dissatisfaction, and we've got the gold standard product milk. But one of the things we'll talk about is it's a huge opportunity for the industry to really market, find me, milk, whether it's milk and cheese, and let's start to call it the functional benefits. And so we're actually doing claims work as we've identified these spaces. We've prioritized a now next future concept to develop modern claims to talk about bone. So how you talk about bone to a parent of a 2 to 5-year-old versus a boomer is different, but we're building a playbook to give to the industry to do that type of level of marketing in these functional benefits over the next year. And so again, I talk about when you start to size this as satisfaction, $200 billion opportunity for dairy industry. And you think about it, even if you get 10% share of that dissatisfaction, it's $20 billion. That's bigger than the fluid milk category and yogurt category combined. So when you think about opportunities and talk about messaging and innovation, this is an example of what we do. And what we do is then develop concepts, work with the industry. We're partnering with the General Mills to take advantage of that space. And this is what I was talking about, this whole milk matrix. So we do a lot of science to educate about the value of milk and the inclusions of milk. Again, this is the orchestra on the left. But in the orchestra, we also pull out, hey, we've got molecules. Are there molecules that we can mine, like a lactoferrin, and either put it back at a higher level, or maybe put in other types of products that are dairy that we can have stronger claims at a higher level of concentration and functionality. So, that's basically, when you look at that health and wellness piece, is a great example of what we do. And we've also done similar work in the food service space. We've done similar work in the beverage space. And overall, our team, again, has 4 core strategies in high growth areas: deliver more commercialized sales and volume for our farmers, drive that more science to help, again, existing products sell more, and also find new spaces for the farmer, but also take that science to healthcare professionals in a way that helps elevate our reputation, improve new benefits, sell more products that way as well. So, and again, our final 2 strategies: investment. So if I just showed you some of those areas, we've quantified those growth areas. Showing in industry players, we've went to different events on a road show, whether it's the Natural Product Expo or to International Dairy Federation, which is all these big industry CEOs, how they can grow with dairy in new spaces. This is encouraging others. So it's again to invest in dairy, and we're a huge powerhouse, and how we can continue to be that powerhouse for the future.
Right, and you go way more in depth on the June 26th uh, episode where people can learn more about it. We're excited to be offering this on YouTube as well. So if you want to see the slides that Paul just checked out, you can check it out on our YouTube channel. We'll make sure we drop a link in the description. Two more questions for you, Paul, as we wrap up this Dairy Streamlet. You talked about all these strategy areas. Which one do you try to focus on, and like what's that timeline for them?
From a strategy, the good news is we have a team. I've got teams of partner leads. I've got teams of product scientists. I've got teams of insights and innovators. So we're able to collaborate with the industry and multiple players at once. Yet we have firewalls, so a person may work with one partner, like a General Mills. Well, they can work over here with a McDonald's. So we're able to stack deep and work across multiple pieces. And on the science side, it's not just us. The farmers fund the dairy research centers. So we're able to also identify experts in our chain of research centers and fund projects in their areas of expertise so we can get to market faster.
Last question for you. What trends are you keeping an eye on in the dairy space in the next 5 years that farmers should pay attention to or be mindful of?
I talked first one there, health and wellness. Again, it's a huge thing for us to win. You look at other changes such as um, the changing landscape of food and beverage at home. Less sit down meals, more I'll call it mini meals, just snacking across the day. It will change how they experience food a little bit. Whether it's you're still seeing frozen grow, but you're also seeing more mini meals, mini snacking. And so as you look for us as drinkables, like whether it's drinkable yogurts to poppable cheeses to but at home they're that mindset of health and wellness is a top, but there's also this piece of decadence. I've worked hard, I played hard, I still want to indulge. In the health and wellness space, zero, that zero sugar is also coming. So you're going to see a lot of investment in industry in that piece. And then I'll call it a changing consumer base. We can't forget about how that consumer composition is, whether it's you've got a group of boomers who are coming off and getting close to retirement of 80 billion or 80 million people. What kind of products and how do we engage with them? And number two, and for longevity, they're looking at longevity and vitality and those things and that word. Then you've got this generation who is having kids that are younger. They're, like I said, they're more minority. They're more people of color. And so how does dairy play with them? And how do we communicate? Hey, a lot of the dairy is lactose free. Or as we invest for the future, making sure that our products are appropriate and we're communicating their concerns around food and beverage and whether it's their cultural inclusions and some of the historical foods they have to meeting their needs and their lifestyles. And so I'll call it the changing consumer base, the changing lifestyle base, and then this emergence of health and wellness front and center, and how we can play in that space. And then in food service, the final piece is there's a lot of changing compositions. There's these emerging players. The big one is chicken. There's a lot of penetration opportunities for us to play there. And the final piece is exports. It's just 96% of the people who move out to the U.S. They want high quality nutrition. They love the experience. And so I think for us, you're going to see continued emphasis of dairy penetration across global markets.
Right. Lots of opportunity. And we have the Dairy Checkoff DMI, Dairy Farmers of Wisconsin, and numerous other, checkoff groups that are keeping an eye on this. So, Paul, thank you so much for sharing your expertise today on the Dairy Streamlet. If you want to listen to Paul's full episode, it's going to be available on June 26th. I want to make sure that I thank Dairy Farmers of Wisconsin for sponsoring this episode. Until next time, I'm Joanna Guza for Dairy Stream.